Yeah, and you're not going to see the ball.
Exactly. You saw Baker's reaction. He's like,
All right, Baker knew.
oh,
Baker knew. I don't feel like we're going
that's
to
the
have very many games
Bills.
different this week.
No, this week sucks.
Yeah.
Welcome to View from the Top of the Goalpost. I am your host, Diesel, and I am joining you from Diesel's Dapper Dungeon and Delight. I don't think I've said that in a while, but I am joined, as always, by my co-host, who is full of love and peace, and that is what we need right now in the world is some love and peace. So spread it around. We got, how you doing, Chad?
Oh man, I'm here. I'm doing. I got both my flu shot and my COVID shot today, so I'm a little worn down from that. I'm a little emotionally worn down, but I'm ready to talk some football. Even though this Week 10 slate looks like crap.
I got an email today that says, "Oh, you're overdue for your flu shot," and it's like, you know what? I am. And then I remembered, holy crap, it's November.
Yes, yes, it is.
It's like it still feels like it's September because the weather. I don't know what the weather's like, whoever's watching or listening or whatever you're doing, but like here in Wisconsin, it's been September since like September 3rd.
Yeah, it hasn't changed. It's been the same season.
Well, anyways, enough of that. Let's talk some football. Or let's recap last week. Uh, Chad did good again last week. He's picking it up. He is gaining some games on me, and he's finally over 500. This last week, Chad went 11-4, and he went 3-1 in our head-to-head matchups. Probably should have went four or no, and we'll talk about that later. And I ended up going 9-6, and yeah,
Respectable still.
so that brings me to a total of 88-50 on the season, and Chad is now 72-66 or 500.
You know, the way the season started out, I wasn't sure if I was going to finish the season over 500. So it feels pretty good to be back over 500 at least.
For a little bit, I was wondering the same thing. So, I mean, you have every chance to tank again this week because, like you said, the slate for week 10 is weird because I don't think these games are going to go any way that we're picking them because it's just so weird. Everything's
Yeah.
just so weird this week. But yeah, how did your locks go?
Well, last week we went overall 10-5 with our locks. Quickly running through them. The last chance lock with the New York Jets on Thursday Night Football came true. The Atlanta Falcons covered the 2.5 points for the Raptor lock. The Denver Baltimore game did not hit the under because Baltimore decided they were going to cover it basically by themselves because it was only 45.5. The silver lock of the over in the Miami Buffalo game hit. The Suck at Carolina lock did not hit because Carolina miraculously won, even though they lost in every metric of the game. They somehow won the game. So fun stuff. Cincinnati clearly covered the -7. The bronze lock of the Chargers -2 hit. Washington hit with a -3.5. New England with the cat scratch fever lock did not hit, even though it 1,000% should have. But once again, we'll get to it. We'll talk about that later. Arizona covered. The Emerald lock hit because Philly decimated their opponents and definitely covered 7.5. I was shocked. The Fantasy Fun lock did not hit for the first time because the Green Bay Packers team decided not to show up at all. And the Gold lock with the LA Rams hit. And then both our Sunday Night Football lock with the Indianapolis Colts +5.5 did not hit. But Tampa Bay +9 did hit. But the Heart lock was technically on the money line. So that's like a half and half thing. Half of my heart won it. The other half lost it. But that brings us for bonus locks to 24, 22-1. The last chance lock to 4-2. The heart lock to 3-3-1. I'm calling it. The Suck at Carolina lock to 5-3. Cat Scratch Fever 1-1. Fantasy Fun 0-1. The Raptor Lock is 6-3. The Emerald Lock is pushing its way back to 500 at 3-5. And then the Bronze Lock is 5-4. The Silver Lock is 5-4. Once again, granddaddy of them all, one I'm most confident on every single week is the Golden Lock is 7-2 on the season. So once again, just bet what I'm telling you to bet, and you are up some money this season, even with me being below 500 for most of the beginning of the season for my football picks. My gambling locks were still coming true.
Well, I'm happy for you on that one. I don't know what else to say except you have a lot of locks. When you're going through that, it just kept on going, and
hey,
touche,
when you're picking,
my friend, touche.
When you pick every game now, it makes for a lot of talking.
Well, we got one last bit of maintenance before we get into our picks, and that is to go over who is on bye this week. And that would be the Cleveland Browns, the Green Bay Packers, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, the only thing I want to talk about is the Packers trading away Preston Smith. Didn't make sense at the time, but then find out that he requested to be traded, and it's like, well, okay.
Cool.
Really thought they would try to make another move. It makes kind of sense why they did it now. In the moment, it felt like, oh, that must mean they're clearing up cap, but whatever. They
did technically still clear out some cap because he was a pretty big cap hit.
Yeah, especially next year too. So that could help bring people in. And all the Packers fans complaining about not trading, forget that we spent $120 million on free agents in the offseason. So it's not like we're not trying or Goody's not trying. The other thing is,
that now the Packers only have 2 players on their entire roster who are 30 years or older.
Really?
Yeah, they have the kicker McManus and 1 linebacker, and that's it. Everyone else on the team is 29 years or younger.
Wow. I mean, I know they're still the youngest team in the NFL, which is crazy because 2 years ago they were the oldest team in the NFL.
Oh, and they just got even younger by subtraction.
And with the Packers game last week, I also do want to say that I think that the Packers beat themselves just as much as the Lions beat them. I think the Packers made the Lions look better than they actually were. Don't get me wrong, the Lions played a good game, and they acclimated to the elements better than the Packers did. But at the same time, if you look at a lot of the stats, the Packers, especially on offense, had the ball longer, way more yardage. It tells 2 different stories. I feel like the game in Detroit is going to go a little bit differently. Because the Packers are just a better indoor team. Who wouldn't have thought?
That's crazy. That's crazy talk.
Anyways,
who would have thought it'd be easier to play football indoors in a dome? It's weird. You don't have to worry about wind or elements. Who would have thunk it?
I am ready to pick some games, so let's get into it. Let's get to our first game. Thursday night football might be the game of the week. We have the 4-5 Cincinnati Bengals traveling to the 6-3 Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 6 with a 53.5 point over under, and 89% of the fan differential is on Baltimore. Maybe it won't be the game of the week. It could be Baltimore blowout, but the last game wasn't. The last game was actually a lot of fun. I'm going Baltimore there at home, and they won the last game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cincinnati win, though, because they're playing better. They're definitely starting to play better. Joe Burrow looks healthy. Looks like his hand injury is finally, or at least he's learned how to play with whatever is going on. Because at the beginning of the season, there was still some issue with it, whether it be like scar tissue or I don't remember the exact issue. But yeah, I don't know. Are they going to be able to stop Derrick Henry? I don't think so. Zay Flowers has been getting better.
Deontay Johnson now. Mark Andrews.
That too. This is just Baltimore's just a really good team. But then again, they did just lose to Cleveland 2 weeks ago, which was a division game. So maybe they aren't as great against division rivals. But I think with it being at home, under the lights, prime time, I got Baltimore in this game. And I like the 6-point spread because I do think that Derrick Henry's going to have another big game. Right now, he's at 13 overall touchdowns, 11 rushing, 2 receiving, and we should start putting a tracker on there because I believe somebody on the show predicted that he was going to get to 20 plus this year, which nobody else predicted like anywhere. So, me.
As I say, it sure as hell wasn't me who predicted that, folks. So, but yes, no, we should maybe I'll try and I'll work on that. I'll get Channing in the cage to work on that during his downtime. But for this game, Cincinnati versus Baltimore, I'm obviously on Baltimore as well. I do think that this is another shootout game, so bonus lock. I will take the over of 53 points. I know it seems crazy to have a Baltimore game, but oh yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of points, but Diesel's right. Cincinnati looks healthy. They look poised to try and make a run. They know that they have to win 7 out of the last 9 games. They've already won a couple. This is another division game. So they're going to be
Khalil Herbert now too.
Yeah. And they are going to be firing everything they can at Baltimore to try and win this game. So I think it is a dogfight, a shootout. I think it comes down to as the ball lasts once again. But yeah, King Henry this year and Lamar Jackson. I said last year was Lamar Jackson's revenge tour. I'm sorry, folks. I miss it by a year because this year, Lamar Jackson is doing insane things. He's had his 4th perfect game of his career. He now has more perfect games than both Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. He, this year, is doing so much I like better. It's a weird thing to say that a 2-time MVP looks like he's taken another step forward in his game. But honestly, with the other element that Derrick Henry has brought to this offense and just Zay Flowers taking another step forward, it didn't even matter that Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely were dog shit for like the beginning of the season. Like, this is a 3-headed monster of an offense, and it doesn't matter. You can't stop them. This is old school freaking Dallas Cowboys, Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin with Troy Aikman. Like, we all knew who was getting the ball, but you couldn't do anything about it anyways. It just didn't fucking matter. And that's what this is starting to feel like. And I know I picked him to win the Super Bowl before the season started. I still feel good about that. But once again, just that elephant in the room is the Kansas City Chiefs. And can Baltimore do this when it's important? I know they're phenomenal in the regular season, but can they do this when it's important? It's all I'm thinking about here. So I like Baltimore in this game. I love the over. So lock on that. And yeah, this definitely could be the game of the week.
I think Baltimore added that missing piece of the puzzle when they signed Derrick Henry, and I think that they can do it. I also picked them to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC this year because I do believe in them. And for all the pundits and sports writers saying that Lamar Jackson can't win MVP this year because nobody wins 3 in 7 years, that's ridiculous. Give it to the guy who deserves it the most. Like,
yeah,
I've
this
heard
is the NBA. All right. Don't give Derrick Rose an MVP, even though he doesn't deserve it. And just because LeBron's won it every other year. Okay. Give the man his flowers. He deserves
I've heard several like radio show hosts like talk about this and say like he's doing good, but you got to spread it around. It's like, I remember when we were a kid, Brett Favre won it 3 years in a row. And guess what? That was 3 in 7 years, let alone 3 in a row. But like, yeah, it can happen. It shouldn't even be a question. He's having the best season this year. He should be MVP as long as he doesn't get hurt. And
I would say the only one who would question him for MVP right now is his running mate, Derrick Henry. And that's because he's doing something that we haven't seen from a running back.
He's going to get
forever.
Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, moving on to the next game. We are going to Germany. And
Deutschland.
we see the 2-7 New York Giants facing off against the 2-7 Carolina Panthers. The Giants are favored by 6.5 with a 40.5 point over under, and 75% of the fan differential is on the Giants. Who do you got and why?
I am going with, okay, honestly, I really, really wanted to pick Carolina in this game. I tried every possible way to talk myself into picking Carolina.
I've tried so hard. I try so hard.
But what it came down to in the end, as much as I hate Daniel Jones, I don't believe in this offense at all, Carolina has no offensive line. And the best defensive line in football is once again probably the New York Giants, which is sounds sickening to say, but God, they're good on that front seven. And dude, Bryce Young might die back there in Germany. We might see another war crime in Germany this Sunday. And, you know, it's just not going to be good, okay? But with a Deutsche Mark for my lock, we have the under of 40.5 because honestly, who the fuck is going to score in this game? Like, what? Who? Like, honestly, Panthers defense ain't great, but the Giants defense is great, and Daniel Jones is dog shit. And I'm going to wash away that Washington game from last week. Once again, that was a divisional game, and I'm pretty sure Brian Dable was trying to coach for his job because he ain't making it. He might make it through the season, but he's not going to be coaching the Giants next year.
He already said his job's safe. He said they're bringing him back this year. Ownership. I don't think they should fire him yet. I think that they made the mistake by going with Daniel Jones, which wasn't his fault. No. He's doing the best he can with what he's got. And I think this year's proof, even though they're 2-7, like they've been in a lot of games and he's been leaning on his defense. Hey, now they have Malik Neighbors, get a quarterback in there next year, get a running back in there next year.
Like, man, if only they would have already had a generational talent at running back that would have cost them, honestly, that much money. Like, it's so weird. Like, I feel like if they just had a running back, they might have won a few more games, right?
He was garbage. He was so garbage for them. I mean, he had 2 good years, and I'm only half kidding when I say he's garbage. Like, he had 2 good years, and he had 3 bad years. Like,
was injured. He was hurt.
Why was he injured? Why was he hurt? It's because the rest of the team sucked. And he was the whole team. And now he's on a good team in Philadelphia, and he's doing reverse hurdles over people, which was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that game later. But yes, obviously, if you folks didn't catch on, we were talking about Saquon Barkley.
I got the Giants as well. I don't know much more to add besides the fact that their defense is so good that I don't really see Carolina doing very much. But then again, the only thing that worries me is it's in Germany, and I mean, jet lag could hit the Giants. Who knows? You know, something crazy could happen, but I don't see that happening. I got the Giants.
They played good in London a few years ago, so I'm going to ride the fact that they're a good overseas team.
Then you really are a fool.
Next game we have at noon. See the 4-4 San Francisco 49ers traveling to the 4-5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 49ers are favored by 6 with a 50.5 point over under, and 71% of the fan differential is on San Francisco. And Tampa Bay the last 2 weeks without having Mike Evans or Chris Godwin came really close to winning both of those games. And they should have won against Kansas City for sure if they were smart, but they weren't, and they didn't go for 2 to end the game and decided to play in overtime. And, you know, if the Chiefs get the ball first, they're scoring. It's their MO. But San Francisco is also coming off of their bye. And there's a chance that CMC might be playing and he might be healthy because I don't think they would put him in there if he was risking re-injuring his Achilles. So that's pretty scary. Tampa Bay defense is also falling apart. Ah, man, I love Baker so much, and I'm rooting for him so hard. And man, he had such a good game on Monday night. But man, he's everything, and I don't think that he's enough, especially if the San Francisco gets CMC back. So I got to go with the 49ers in this game.
I truly wish that I could roll with Baker and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right here. But not only are you coming off an overtime game, you're playing on a short week against a team coming off of their bye. If there wasn't a triple threat of Chads, don't bet against these things, I don't know what the hell else would. Like literally all three of those things are my Chad red flags. Like, oh my God, don't do it. Because once again, this is another game where I was like, oh, I know Diesel's taking San Francisco. Could Tampa Bay do it? Could the cockroach do it one more time? But no, I can't do it this week. I can't pull the trigger. I am taking the San Francisco 49ers in this game. And with the bronze lock of the week, I will be eating those 6 points because Baker's been doing it all with so little. And you saw it on that last game tying drive. He is putting his heart on the field and putting everything he can into this team with a bunch of no-name people and a running game that just doesn't work. Okay. This is a bad situation for Tampa Bay. You are coming against a San Francisco team that's coming off their bye. They are in the thick of a race for the NFC West. There's wide open division, and they need to start winning right now if they want a chance at it. And CMC might be returning, and they just let Kareem Hunt run the ball all over them. So what do you think the former, now healthy, offensive player of the year is going to do to that decimated Tampa Bay defense? And also, Todd Bowles, fuck you, man. You should be fired. You should be fired 1,000 times over. Just, you are dumb as pain. Dumb. You are a horrible coach, and you're holding this team back. This team could be a lot better if they would have pulled the trigger, because Baker's the only reason you made the playoffs last year. It wasn't Todd Bowles coaching. And the fact that he saved your job is killing this team. It is a horrible situation to be in. And fuck you, Todd Bowles. That was terrible coaching all across the board.
Oh yeah, it wasn't just not going for two either. He called timeout and when they got the ball down to the 1 yard line with 30 seconds left. It's like, no, you get on the ball and you run it. You run and try to score the touchdown. If you don't get in, then you call timeout.
Yeah.
It's like, these coaches are just driving me crazy. I watch these games and these situations that they're in and the decisions that they make. It's like, do you not know football? Like, are you, oh my God. It's like, and have a sack, man. Like, it's the Chiefs. You're
defending Super Bowl champions in Arrowhead. Like, your defense has been ravaged the entire night.
Money, man. You're playing with house money because you weren't supposed to be in that situation, and you cave. You caved by going for that, and you should be fired on the spot for that. Like, they
were +9 going into that game. You're not even like, that was already chalked up as a loss in the bookmakers thing. So you go in that situation, go for it. Go for 2. Ugh.
And the thing that sucks about all of it is Baker is having the best season of his career this year. And it's going to be all for naught. And I hate that. I really do. But yeah, you're right. They've run into a very unfair situation going up against the San Francisco team. So,
and I don't know who Tampa Bay pissed off in the schedule makers office. It probably was them signing Tom Brady and winning that Super Bowl out of nowhere that just pissed off everything. But this this is an unfair little slate of games right now.
Yeah,
Come on.
right.
Like, you played Atlanta like twice in 3 weeks. You just played Kansas City. Now you have to play San Francisco. What the hell? Like,
pain.
I mean, I'll be rooting for Tampa Bay, but I just don't think they're going to win.
exactly. I will as well. Fuck San Francisco, but I have to put my money where my mouth is, and that is definitely on San Francisco this week.
Next game at noon, it is the 7-2 Buffalo Bills traveling to the 4-5 Indianapolis Colts. The Bills are favored by 4 with a 48.5 point over under, and 96% of the fan differential is on Buffalo. Chad, who do you got?
There's another time where I would really, really love to call the fans idiots. But damn it, I hate it too. I'm taking Buffalo in this game. And with the silver lock of the week, I'm going to eat those 4 points. I hate Sean McDermott. I truly, truly hate Sean McDermott. He's another coach who I think is being propped up by his quarterback, where I don't think he actually does shit. I think it's all Josh Allen. It's legitimately Josh Allen is just fucking nuts. And I don't know how to explain him anymore. He is definitely our generation's Brett Favre. Like, there is not explanations for things that he does in both the good and bad sense of the word. There's plays where you look at him and go, what? And then there's plays where you look at him and go, what?
I mean,
it's crazy.
He's only part Brett Favre. He's part Ben Roethlisberger and part Michael Vick. Put all three of them together, that's Josh Allen. It's crazy.
It's annoying as hell. I've, as a Patriots fan, been watching him play football for, it feels like forever. I know he's not been in the league that long, but I legitimately feel like I've been watching Josh Allen play football for decades at this point. Like, he's just always there. He's always making these insane plays that just annoy the hell out of me. And Indy just, who are you guys? Joe, I was all in on you guys against Minnesota. Minnesota handed you that game on a silver platter. It wasn't like Josh or freaking Darnold played like a great game. He threw interceptions. They gave you every chance to win it, and you just didn't run the ball. Like, you don't play like you're supposed to. And like, I get that Josh Downs is a pretty good wide receiver and everything like that, but you have so many other weapons on that team. Like, Flacco, throw the ball to someone else. Like, run a screen pass. Like, do anything else. Like, this Indy team is making me eat a lot of my words from before the season. And I don't like that. I don't like being so very wrong about a team. But once again, until I think that all the way at the top of ownership, Jim Irsay is out of there, this team just, it's not going to be a viable option for greatness. And I think this is just another showing of it, where Buffalo is a team that has their franchise quarterback, and with a franchise quarterback, you can do a lot. And that's a lot more than he can do. So give me Buffalo in this game. Silver lock of the week. I'll eat the 4 points.
So it's not often that Chris Collinsworth will say something that I actually agree with, but he said something in the fourth quarter of the Minnesota-Indianapolis game, like to the effect of how surprised he was that they weren't running the ball with Jonathan Taylor and how he didn't have more yards. And it's like, I figured that was going to be the game plan. I figured, yeah, Minnesota has a good defense, but like, get the run going, and then you can start like moving the ball around with Flacco.
Run a few draw plays on them. They're the most, they blitz more than anyone else in the NFL. Like, you need Jonathan Taylor to gash him like 2 or 3 times for a 15-yard draw play to, wow. Yeah. Sorry.
And you're right. Indianapolis has a lot of weapons because they have Downs, but they also have Pierce, and they also have Michael Pittman Jr. It's like they are stacked. Defense could be a little bit better. They can't stop a leak, but that offense should also be better because there's a lot of talent on that side of the ball. Yeah, I have Buffalo in this game just because all around Buffalo is just a better team. They're like, I think I saw a stat during their game on Sunday that Shakir is like the most targeted receiver in the last 2 years, like, which is nuts. And he's really starting to come into his own. Um, and plus you have Keon Coleman, who, oh man, should have had an easy touchdown that he dropped on Sunday, but he's a rookie. We'll give it to him. He's having all right, like start to the second half of the season. Buffalo's better, and they also can run the ball. And like I just said, Indy can't stop the run. Yeah, Buffalo's gonna win this game for sure.
Shout.
Moving on to the next game, another game where I wish I would have picked it the other way, or wish could give a reason to pick the other way. We have the 5-4 Denver Broncos traveling to the 8-0 Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 7.5 with a 42-point over-under, and 92% of the fan differential is on Kansas City. And I know that Kansas City just won in overtime, but man, like that addition of DeAndre Hopkins, holy cow. Like, he's looking like Houston Texans DeAndre Hopkins in that one game. But man, Kelsey's starting to come alive. Kareem Hunt is just that guy. Just
Ageless.
It doesn't make any sense. He just put him in the like, okay, we need a running back, and like, okay, I can do it. And yeah, the Patrick Mahomes is just crazy. Defense is really good. Defense is winning them games. It's not
Every
just
week.
the offense.
Every
This team, like, they still don't feel like they should be 8, you know what I mean? But like, they're just so good. And I haven't got a Kansas City game wrong yet. And I don't think I'm gonna this week either. I think they're gonna beat Denver. I want to pick Denver, but I don't know. Bo Nix, this is his first time going up against Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. Denver kind of disappointed me last week. I didn't pick Denver to win, but I still was hoping that they could provide the upset. And then we come into this week talking about how is Denver the real deal? I don't know. Kansas City is just at another level that Denver's not at yet. I got Kansas City.
Yeah, 1,000%. I wish I'm trying. Once again, this is another one where there's the red flags. They're playing on a short week. They're coming off an overtime game. That is 2 big red flags for saying, hey, you can pick the other team, but it's in Kansas City. And Denver, man, as Michael Perna himself said, they played a real offense, and that defense looked like a no-name defense. That I don't have any other way to describe it, because they looked like Swiss cheese out there, and they had been shutting people down. And if Kansas City, I texted Diesel after that first DeAndre Hopkins touchdown that he snagged between 3 mother effing defenders and made it look easy. And then he scored a second time. And I mean, the Chiefs could have had another touchdown if Xavier Worthy just knew where his goddamn feet were for another second, but not here nor there. Kansas City with DeAndre Hopkins, it's not fair. I'm very annoyed. They are the only threat to the Ravens making it to the Super Bowl in the AFC at this point, I feel. I'm taking Kansas City in this game. I do think they covered the -8, but I don't love putting a lock on anything that big this year, because they're just, I think at this point, the underdogs are like 25-14 or something like that if the spread is above 6. So I'm trying to stay away from those in general, but I will take the over in this game, because I do think that Kansas City puts up some points this week. I think they start trying to send a message to the rest of the NFL that, yeah, we're getting it together and we're coming for all of you, because they have not scored many points in this league this year. And with DeAndre Hopkins, his 3rd week in, Xavier Worthy, another week in the system. And now the presidential election's over. So maybe Kels and Mahomes can go back to being full-on friends. And we can just move on with our lives and just play football. So, yes, give me Kansas City and the over. And fuck you, Kansas City Chiefs, because I hate you.
Moving on, next game at noon, we have the 6-3 Atlanta Falcons traveling to the 2-7 New Orleans Saints. Now, without a head coach, the Falcons are favored by 3.5 with a 46 point over under, and 94% of the fan differential is on Atlanta. Before I have you make your pick, it was definitely the right call to get rid of Dennis Allen when they got rid of Dennis Allen for the Saints. They just lost to probably the worst team in football, and they were embarrassed in that loss. They not only did they lose Dennis Allen, they also lost Marcus Lattimore because he got traded to Washington. Which,
great pickup by the Commies.
Oh, yeah, it was. I mean, they gave up a lot for him, but I mean, Marcus Lattimore is a legit corner. So, yeah, good for them. Yeah, so that's all I had to say about that. I'll let you make your pick, and then I'll talk about it.
You know what, folks? You know what's coming here. Raptor lock of the week, folks. Give me the Atlanta Falcons. I will eat those 3.5 points. Don't get me wrong. This does feel one of those classic NFC South trap games where the Saints just fired their coach. They're going to be playing at home. And I'm sure that Saints crowd will be raucous because ain't nobody happier than Saints fans that Dennis Allen was fired, okay? As much as we have bemoaned Dennis Allen, Saints fans hate him even more than the rest of us general people do. So they're jacked, and they're going to be jacked on Sunday. But once again, Atlanta is getting better. That defense provided a little pressure this week. They got some quarterback sacks, and that led to, once again, Kirk Cousins, even without Drake London, throwing for 3 touchdowns. And he probably could have thrown for more if gosh damn Algier wasn't a touchdown vulture, just pissing me off. But this offense really coming together. This defense, as I've said, if they can provide any sort of consistent pressure, that back end is so good. And Jesse Bates, once again, if Xavier McKinney and Brian Branch weren't ripping it up in the NFC right now for safeties, like he'd probably be an all-pro this year. But he's going to be a second-team all-pro because Xavier McKinney and Brian Branch are also in the same conference as him. And it's just unfortunate that you are where you are. But he is still phenomenal. Doesn't get enough people talking about him. I love this Atlanta team. Give me the Atlanta Falcons. Raptor lock of the week. I'll eat the points.
Yeah, New Orleans is playing for that number 1 overall pick now. I wonder how that will go for them. Honestly,
I bet Shador would love to come to New Orleans. Him in prime time.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I was just saying, I was thinking that I'm sure they could have a pretty quick turnaround because they still have some talent. They got good wide receivers. I don't see Kamara leaving. I think he's still under contract next year. Even if they draft a quarterback in the first round and have him play under Carr for a little bit, for a hot minute, that might not be the worst thing. They still have a decent defense. They still got the Honey Badger. It doesn't make sense why they're so bad. And like I know they were overachieving in their first 2 games, but like I didn't see them being this bad.
I was gonna say I didn't know how much they were overachieving in those first 2 games.
I have Atlanta in this game. They're spreading the ball around a lot more. They have a lot of talent. They have my boy Darnell Mooney. They have say hi to Benji. Bijan Robinson is getting better by the week. They're finally throwing the ball to Pitts. Like Ray McLeod. No one ever talks about Ray McLeod, but like he's also a touchdown vulture who also gets on my nerves. But I also like him because his name's awesome. Anybody named Ray Ray, it's just he's all right in my book.
It's a great McLeod too. That just with multiple different things. Yeah.
I am going with Atlanta in this game. So moving on to the next game at noon, unless you have something else to add.
No. After lock of the week, I already said all my piece.
Okay. Next game at noon. I don't think we'll have to talk about this one for very long. It is the 2-7 New England Patriots traveling to the 4-4 Chicago Bears. The Bears are favored by 6 with 38.5 point over under, and 92% of the fan differential is on Chicago. Benji, say the Bears still suck. No? Well, I got the Bears. Okay. And you go.
I'm going to try and keep this PC because
And you would fail.
there could be a children close enough that they might be able to hear me. But I'm picking Chicago in this game because the Patriots just played in a overtime game this last week. A very long overtime game this last week and lost. Fuck you, Gerard Mayo. I can't put into words how mad I was at the end of that game. Tony Pollard ran the ball up and down the field on the Patriots defense the entire game. It wasn't just for like one quarter. It was the entire game. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. They couldn't stop anything. And then you come down in hostile territory and your rookie quarterback extends a play for 20 minutes. Like, we have an entire quarter of Drake May just running around in this backfield somehow with no time left on the clock. And he somehow finds Stevenson for a touchdown. Your defense is dead. Have been all day. Your offense is also dead at this point because this has been a grueling game against Tennessee in a hostile environment. And you kick the field goal. You, once again, should have been fired on the spot, just like Todd Bowles, you dumb motherfucker. Gosh dang it. I don't care if the Patriots lose the game. As Diesel said, it probably would be better. It's better that they lost the game, but it's the way you lost the game. You have to. Momentum is a thing. I know it's not like a quantifiable thing, but that Patriots team had all the momentum in the world. And you're saying that after getting that play, that you can't go for two? Drake May is on fire right now. That team is hopping out of their skulls. Like, they just completed one of the craziest plays that you will see. Such bad coaching. And then to watch Tennessee march down the field on them. And then once again, oh, good job. You stopped them for a field goal. Did you really think your offense, who was like all of their emotions were spent at the end of the fourth quarter, were going to be able to do anything in that overtime? Because I knew they weren't. I think every Patriots fan in the world knew they weren't going to be able to. Mayo, I want to believe in you. But this game right here, this last week, made me really, like, I have been one of your firmest supporters all year, even through losing. I'm scared now that we need a new coach. I'm picking Chicago. I am putting lock on the over because I do think some points will be scored in it. But just, I was sickened and disgusted. And I was on such a high for a second because I thought they were going to win. And it really broke me down. So thank you for listening to my rant. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm glad you can watch my camera and you can see a different angle, some of the different pops, because every time I hit the desk, it moved just a little bit.
I wanted to add, though, Drake May is awesome. That drive at the end of regulation with no timeouts, drove down the field, and had an amazing play with no time on the clock to find Stevenson in the end zone was one of the best plays of the entire season. And to not go for 2 after that is just unforgivable.
It's unforgivable.
It really is. I texted you that immediately when they brought up the kicker, that was the wrong call, 100%. And you know what? They would have got it.
Oh, yeah. Momentum's a real thing. They were so hot.
And we talked about it before we started recording that you would have rather have lost that game by not converting the 2-point conversion than losing in overtime. And it just, yeah, just horrible, horrible coaching.
Bad.
Well,
sorry for saying motherfucker so many times, folks.
It's okay. At least Benji left the room. Moving on. Next game at noon. We have the 6-2 Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to the 7-2 Washington Commanders, which is still a shocker to me. Probably both these teams are probably the 2 biggest surprise teams in the NFL, and we get to see them go head to head, which is awesome. Washington is favored by 3 with a 45.5 point over under, and 64% of the fan differential is on Washington. What do you got in this game, Chad, and why?
I'm also riding with the fans again, and I don't love it, but I am going with the Washington Commanders. I know Pittsburgh's coming off their bye. I know that they just traded for Mike Williams, and I know that TJ Watt is not a human being and is a terrifying, terrifying monster on defense. They
traded for Preston Smith, too. Don't forget about that.
And they also traded for Preston Smith. So got another helpful addition to that defense. But God, I love this Washington football squad right now. These commies are fun to watch. And I know that this Pittsburgh defense is really good. But you know what? Jaden Daniels is in a different quarterback class than I think they've really played this year so far. This guy is not only faster than hell right now, but he is completing his passes on a plus 60% accuracy rating when under duress. And he's going to be under duress, that's for sure. But the commies have the weapons with Scary Terry, Ertz, Eckler. I mean, there's just always somebody open, it feels like. And Jane Daniels finds them. And this defense, while not great, is improving every week. And trading for Marshawn Lattimore, he's going to be a plug-and-play guy. It's a Dan Schneider defense. Like, he is a number 1 cornerback. He doesn't have to learn a lot. It's going to be go out there, cover Pickens. That's his job, and he will do it damn well. I guarantee it. And also, because this is my need to win lock, is the other big reason I'm picking Washington. Because, folks, Washington hasn't really beat anyone of note right now. When they played a really good team, they lost. They lost to Baltimore. And it was close. But this is another big game for them here. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who might be a shock or a surprise team this year, but they are quite good. They're coming off their bye. And I think this is where Washington needs to make a statement. So with my need to win lock, I will be eating those 3 points, and I will be taking the Washington Commies.
Damn commies.
Finally, you have a difference.
Oh, man, I was really getting worried that we weren't going to have a single one all week.
I knew it was going to come down to this one. I knew that we were going to go the other way on this one. I agree with everything you're saying about Washington. This is one where I'm just going with my gut. And for some reason, I'm feeling Pittsburgh. The one thing that if I was going to put a lock on this game, if I was Chad, I would take the under, because neither of these teams like to score touchdowns. But
field goals,
love
baby.
Field goals. I feel like
kickers are people too, Diesel.
And they both have good kickers, especially Pittsburgh. I think that, that's going to be more of a field goal game. They're both going to keep each other out of the end zone. And so I would take the under. My gut is just telling me Pittsburgh. If Washington wins, I'll be very happy with that result because I want them to win the division. If Pittsburgh doesn't win the AFC North, I won't really care that much because I'm riding with Baltimore anyways. But I do like Pittsburgh a lot. But I just going with my gut, and I got Pittsburgh. So, but go with the under in that game if you're betting on it. I'm telling you. Moving on to our final game at noon on Sunday, we see the 6-2 Minnesota Vikings traveling to the 2-7 Jacksonville Jaguars. The Vikings are favored by 4 with a 45-point over-under, and 94% of the fan differential is on Minnesota. And unfortunately, I am too, because I'm riding their defense. Jacksonville just not that good. And Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if it's coaching that's holding him back. Because I've seen it. I've seen the talent that he possesses, but he can't channel it. It's weird. I don't see Jacksonville scoring points in this game. And Justin Jefferson is good for 100 every single week. And
32 times already in his short NFL career. He's at over 100 yards.
Yep. So yeah, this one's a no-brainer to me. I got Minnesota.
Yeah, I wish I had more fun things to say about this, but this is the golden lock of the week. I am taking the Minnesota Vikings. I am eating the 4.5 points. I'm sure it might bounce up to 5, honestly, by the time kickoff happens. But I'm eating the points regardless. Minnesota is in a different class than Jacksonville. Jacksonville, once again, I have been all out on them since last year after coming off their bye and losing to San Francisco. And once again, I can forgive a loss. I don't care if a team loses. It's how they lost that game. Coming off a bye and just not being prepared to play football against a quality opponent who ended up being in the Super Bowl. So basically, that was a dipstick kind of test for if you could challenge an NFC Super Bowl contender, and they got dog walked. And since that day, I think it's Trevor Lawrence. I think he needs a new team. I think that this is another one of those situations where he does have all the pieces, but too much bad has happened here where that Urban Meyer stink just won't go away. Doug Peterson did some good things with him for a minute, but now he seems to have lost his gosh damn mind. He doesn't remember how to coach a football game and keeps making some real boneheaded decisions. So I just don't like Jacksonville anymore. And it's insane. It's another team that has so many pieces that they could be a Super Bowl. If you were just looking on the paper and I didn't tell you anything about it, like that would be like, you'd be like, oh, this team's, a year in, year out Super Bowl contender, right? Like, look at all these big name players that they have at every position and how stacked they look. And they can't put it together. So give me the Minnesota Vikings. Once again, I'm not as against them as Diesel is. I don't think they're fool's gold. I think they're a pretty good team, but they are leagues above Jacksonville. So golden lock of the week, eat the points against Jacksonville and take those Vikings.
Another thing about Jacksonville is they don't have very good ownership. The Khan family, they don't know football.
They want to move to London.
They know how to make money, but they don't know anything about football. And I think that's really holding the Jaguars back. I actually work with a few people that live in Jacksonville, and I've had a conversation or two about this with them, and they do not like Doug Peterson, and they're not fans of ownership either. So, but they do believe in Trevor Lawrence. So, I mean, he has talent. And one of them did tell me, though, they think that he would be better on another team as well because he's just a lost cause for the Jaguars. But yeah, I think Minnesota's a no-brainer. I think it's like I don't blame you for making that your golden lock of the week, because I don't think there's a game this week that I'm more confident on myself. So, yeah, moving on. 3:05 on Sunday, we have the 2-6 Tennessee Titans traveling to the 5-3 Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 7.5. 39-point over under, 97%. The fan differential is on the Chargers. We know who you got, but tell us why.
Well, folks, once again, this is the classic. You played an overtime last week. You played a long overtime game last week, and you might have won, but just playing those games like that drain an NFL team. I mean, they played basically 5 quarters of football last week for Tennessee. And that ain't easy on a human body. So give me the LA Chargers in this game. And I will, with a bonus lock, be eating those 7.5 points, because you know what's the best thing to do against a very tired defense that had just played against a squad that ran the ball on them constantly and made them work? Oh, you run the ball against them. And oh, wait, who's basically the number 1 team in the NFL at running the football this year, with their offensive line being graded basically better than everyone else?
Green Bay Packers.
That's a good one too. It's actually the Ravens all the way up there. But if you go down to number 4 on the list, you get the LA Chargers. And the Chargers are going to run up and down the field on Tennessee. Once again, Diesel likes Mason Rudolph more than I do. I think he's just another mouth breather, and that's probably why I hate him so much. Diesel even put it into words in text message that he reminds him of Eli Manning. So that's probably why I feel such a vitriol hate towards him every time I see him. And if Myles Garrett wanted to swing a helmet at him again, I wouldn't be opposed. But that's neither here nor there. Give me the LA Chargers, and I'll eat the points.
Yes, I also have the Chargers, because Tennessee, not only did they play an overtime game last week, they're horrible. They're another team that cannot, like you said, they can't stop the run. Like, even if they were coming off their bye, like, they can't stop the run. Like, every team has run right down their throat. And you're right, the Chargers have a good rushing attack. And, yeah, I don't know. I was looking at the over-under being at 39. I can see it. I can see the under hitting, just because I don't know if Tennessee's going to score. You know? So,
I mean, the Chargers just held Denver to 6 points, or who'd they play last week? Yeah,
it was Denver.
No, it wasn't Denver. Denver played the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh yeah,
Chargers played Cleveland.
Oh,
they also stymied completely.
Yeah, Cleveland didn't even show up for that game.
Nope, they made Jameis Winston look like Jameis Winston.
They sure did. Moving on, next game, 3:25. We see the 6-2 Philadelphia Eagles traveling to the 3-5 Dallas Cowboys. Dallas starting Cooper Rush because Dak is hurt again. Philadelphia is favored by 7 with a 43-point over-under. 92% fan differential is on Philadelphia, and as am I, because Dallas sucks.
Well, that's Dallas.
They were one-dimensional with Dak, and without Dak, they have 0 dimensions on that offense. Ezekiel Elliott got suspended last week for disciplinary reasons. I think it was because he didn't show up to practice on time or something like that. I mean, but it didn't really matter because Donald is better, old. But he's still not good either because he's old as well. Yeah, I don't know what the hell Jerry was thinking at all. And
all in, baby.
That trade they made this week for a receiver in the last 4 games who had 1 reception for 1 yard. Gave a 4th-round pick for him.
Artavius Mingo, man. He's the savior of Dallas.
Gave up a 4th-round pick for him, though. Like, what in the hell is he doing, dude? Like,
He's losing his mind.
yeah. Philadelphia, I don't even. They got Saquon Barkley, who's doing reverse hurdles, which I didn't even think was possible. Like, how did he know?
After a double spin. Like, everyone's forgetting about the fact that the man did a massive spin move to juke out one guy, and then a second spin move before he did that reverse hurdle. It was the sickest thing I watched that live, and I almost shit my pants. Like, I don't know, like, what else to say. I was blown away.
How did he time that so perfectly? Like,
dude, and that guy he like tried to get him too. Saquon jumped so high that guy could not raise up high enough to hit him, because he saw Saquon jumping and he tried to like change his angle to hit Saquon, and Saquon went, "Nah, I'm Mario," and just hopped right over him. It was mind-boggling. Yeah, I did everything in my power to talk myself into picking Dallas in this game, because once again, my daughter's name is Cooper. I named her after Cooper Cup when I won 2 fantasy championships. That's why her name's Cooper, folks. Okay, it's really not, but it's a fun thing to say, and I'm going to tell her that the rest of her life. So I almost picked Dallas on that fact alone. But then I did remember that, yeah, Dallas is dog shit. And even with the Bland coming back to that defense and Micah Parsons maybe making his return this week, I don't care, because who's playing offense for them? Like, hey, if you had a solid run game, like, I don't know, maybe if you would have signed Derrick Henry in the offseason, like you were all in or something, then you know what? It wouldn't be that big a deal to have Cooper Rush back there as your quarterback, because then you could at least lean on something. Cowboys have nothing to lean on. And CeeDee Lamb might not play in this game either, because he picked up an injury last week as well. So what? Who are you depending on? Tolbert? That's Cooper Rush and Tolbert against the Philadelphia Eagles. And don't get me wrong, Sirianni might be one of the worst coaches in the NFL, but even he can beat Mike McCarthy and this Dallas Cowboys squad, because, I mean, this is just a race for the bottom. It's who gets fired first. Does Mike McCarthy make it through the season?
Yes, because in Jerry's history, he's only fired one coach in season, and that was Wade Phillips.
Hey, the Jets had never fired a coach in season before in their history, and that happened this year.
But do you know who beat the Cowboys and Wade Phillips the week before he was fired?
Who?
Mike McCarthy and the Green Bay Packers. So I guess he could be the second, because in a roundabout way. No, I don't think he will, just because of just the way Jerry's been talking. But I do think he will be dismissed after the season, and I really do. I think Bill Belichick's going to be their head coach next year, just because I don't think anybody else is going to want him, and Bill Belichick's going to want to coach. And Jerry is going to be like, I'm going to give you $8 billion to coach our team. And you're like, yes, sir.
I'm going to give you $80 bajillion. What's bajillion? Don't worry about it, Bill. It's a number.
Yeah. So crazy times up in Dallas. Moving on. Final game of the afternoon slate pits the 3-6 New York Jets traveling to the 5-4 Arizona Cardinals. The Jets are favored by 1 with a 46 over-under, and 59% of the fan differential is on Arizona. Who do you got in this game, Chad, and why? I'm actually very interested to hear your answer, because I could see you picking either of these teams.
That is a very, very fun thing you say there, Diesel, because without question, this was the final game that I picked this week. I had a few questions about a couple other games where as I said, I tried to talk myself into the other team. This is truly there may be one other game on the schedule this week that I actually had like, ooh, which way am I going? Like, because I think both teams are good. This game, I hate it. I hate everything about this thing. So When I looked it up, and I looked it up right before we started recording as well, this game was a pick-up, which means that this line is just going up and down, left and right. It's just moving constantly. I am going with the New York Jets. And I am putting the Emerald Lock of the Week on it. And this is kind of a double-edged sword. Do I hope that Arizona wins this game? Oh, yeah. I am rooting for Arizona to win this game. Because I like Arizona a lot more than I like the Jets. I really don't fucking like the Jets at all. And I don't like Aaron Rodgers. But the way they won that game last week against Houston on Thursday night, they get the mini bye where they get a little more time to get this offense gelled together. Breece Hall, my God, he is primed. Like, if you watch the games, he is one broken tackle every game away from a 70-yard touchdown. Like, he is on the cusp of being great again right now this year. And this Jets defense has been great all year. They've had a couple hiccups, but they've been really, really good. And this Arizona team, once again, this is kind of like my heart team where I don't know why I just want to root for them. It's probably still like Kyler Murray, but they also they're young. They're not there. They're a scrappy team. And don't get me wrong, I think they give the Jets a run for their money. But I think that this having a baby to save the relationship for the New York Jets survives one more week, boys and girls, and they win this week against the Arizona Cardinals. And it's my Emerald Lock of the Week. So once again, if that's a curse, then it works out for me because really I hope the Cardinals win.
And then there were two.
Oh, I knew you were picking the Cardinals. I hate it.
I am picking Arizona because I hate to admit it, but I am seeing a little bit of what you're seeing. I don't like Kyler still, but I'm seeing some spark in this team.
Scrappy.
I mean, we talk about it every week. James Conner is awesome. If Kyler would throw the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., that'd be a little nice, you know. But
told you, man. They dominate when he has a bunch of targets. They don't give him a lot of targets, though.
Jets are traveling cross country. Aaron Rodgers is notorious for having bad luck in this stadium.
He does not like the desert. That is true. I didn't even think about that. Shit.
Yeah, I think all signs are pointing to Arizona. Like you mentioned how the Jets had a good game last week against Houston. Arizona had a really good game against the Bears. The Bears sucked against Arizona last week. And Arizona is also leading the NFC West at the halfway point of the season, which nobody had that on their bingo card. So I don't know. I don't know how far Arizona can make it with leading this division because I think now it's San Francisco's division to win still, especially if CMC is healthy. But I think they're going to go another week and gain, and they at least stay on top for another week. I don't know. This Jets team, Aaron Rodgers gets too angry. They're too negative. Like, he used to be all about this, like, there's power in your words and, like, yeah, like, relax and all this stuff. This isn't the same Aaron Rodgers that played in Green Bay. Like, he would get angry, but I've never seen him as angry as he's been this season. It's not the same guy. And it's pretty much a cancer to this organization. That's why they're 3-6 because of him. Yeah, so I got Arizona. It's another one that's kind of a gut feeling. So, yeah.
I'm not rooting against you. If you get that one right and I get it wrong, I'm not going to be upset.
I know that you like Arizona, so I know you're rooting for Arizona in that game. Like, I get it. Just like I'm. What game was I talking about? Tampa Bay. I'm rooting for Tampa Bay over San Francisco, even though I picked San Francisco. I want Tampa Bay to win that game. But yeah, I get it. Moving on, Sunday Night Football. This one actually could be a good one. Hopefully. We have the 7-1 Detroit Lions traveling to the 6-3 Houston Texans. Detroit is favored by 3.5 with a 49-point over-under. 88% of the fan differentials on Detroit. Bet the over in this game, I'm telling you right now. Nico is coming back this week, which is going to be a big help. Brian Branch will be back this week after just being a fool. Just straight up fool. And anyone that argues that he shouldn't have been ejected, he didn't need to come in and make that hit like the way he did. Like, it was helmet to helmet. I like it. There's an emphasis on, like, this week, for some reason, all of a sudden, the hit on defenseless receiver penalty came back.
That came back. I see. That's my only issue with it, because you're right. If they're gonna call it like that, then I have no qualms with it. But the number of times I've seen that exact same gosh damn hit happen this season on multiple players and no penalty was even called that's what sticks in my craw. Like, I don't have a problem with the ejection. I honestly don't. I just have a problem with the inconsistency on how it's called. Like, it doesn't make sense. I've seen way more egregious hits not even get penalized this year. So I don't understand what's happening with the referees.
I'm going with Detroit in this game because Amon-Ra St. Brown is insane. He has I think it's like 80-some targets in a row that he's gotten to catch, which is just nasty. And that touchdown he had against the Packers where he got his feet down, it's like, I couldn't believe he got his feet down. Thought for sure he was going out of bounds. It's just something else. Then you got Sonic and Knuckles. Like, this team is bad, and I mean that in a good way. Like, they
are bad men.
And they just traded for Zadarius Smith, which we got rid of one of the Smith brothers out of Green Bay, and the other one comes back into the division. There's one thing that Packers fans and Vikings fans can agree on. Fuck Zadarius Smith.
Yep.
Even though I did enjoy him while he was a Packer. Not going to lie. He had his best seasons as a Packer. But, man, Houston, they're going through what I thought they were going to go through in this sophomore slump. And even though they're getting Nico back, they're still... man... this Detroit team is just really good, and they're rolling. That's another thing. It's like they're rolling. But I do think points are going to be scored in this game. That's why I said take the over. But I got Detroit. I don't know what to say.
And then there were 3. Because Diesel, with the second ever fantasy fun lock of the week, yay! I'm taking Houston and the over in this game. The fantasy fun lock specifically on the over in this game because I completely agree with you, Diesel, about the points being scored. Nico coming back changes everything. Look at this Houston team when Nico plays and when Nico doesn't. They are apples to oranges. It's not even close. They average an extra 7 points a game. They average another 100 yards a game with Nico playing. Nico makes this offense go. And I don't really know. He doesn't score that many touchdowns, but the dude averages like 14 plus yards of reception. Every time he touches the ball, it's a first down plus. And it makes the game a lot easier for CJ. Mixon's healthy. I don't think this will be a defensive struggle at all. In the Dome, in Houston, it will be a very high-scoring affair. But I think this addition of Nico coming back. This is the game that Houston has circled on their docket. This is their first primetime game of the year. And this is against everyone basically is now Super Bowl pick for the NFC.
They played primetime last week against the Jets.
Oh, yeah, I did. Oh, it was Thursday night. Fuck Thursday night football.
It's still primetime.
It is. I'm sorry. I actually forgot about that. That was on Thursday night football. That's totally my bad. Fine. It's their second one, and they need to redeem themselves after that game last week because Nico's back. Now I've lost all momentum. I'm still picking Houston. I don't care.
Fair enough. Okay, and finally we're ending on Monday Night Football, and unfortunately, it's a bit of a stinker. Yeah, I mean it could be a good game, but Miami just has such bad luck. The 2-6 Miami Dolphins traveling to the 4-4 Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are only favored by 1 with a 50-point over-under. 75% of the fan differential is on Los Angeles, and I pretty much gave away my pick. But who do you got and why?
Once again, I hate agreeing with the fans so much in a single week, but you guys know who I'm high on. I love this Rams team. The band's back together. Puka Nacua got a week off after a phantom punch. Like, come on, refs. Like, that shit right there, that was one of the most ridiculous ejections. That kind of stuff happens on every single communication between DBs and cornerbacks. They're jostling. He didn't even hit the punch, for fuck's sake. Like, come on. Let's remember we're playing a physical sport and there's a lot of aggression that goes on. But yeah, I think that Matthew Stafford and this Rams offense is just getting going. This Rams defense, even though they didn't add anybody, I love this front seven. I've said it all year. They cause chaos, and they caused 3 turnovers this last week because of that chaos, and had a 103-yard pick return. They are getting hot. They are getting healthy. This Rams team is poised. Diesel might have said this was the NFC West was San Francisco's division to win, but I disagree completely, as the Rams already beat San Francisco, and it is their division to win. And I think they continue on, and Seattle has an absolutely atrocious bye week because everyone else in the NFC West wins this week. And it just sucks for them.
So that's the second team this week that played in overtime that you're picking to win. Interesting. I'm going with Los Angeles as well, just because, like I said, Miami just has some bad luck. I don't know what it is, but this is not their year. They're cooked. I don't really have much more to say. I feel like Los Angeles is going to win, but for everyone that has been complaining about Tom Brady and how bad of an announcer he is, did you hear what's his face? Oh, I can't think of his name now. Linebacker from the Saints, Jonathan Vilma. Yeah, what he said on the last play of the Rams-Seahawks game. I feel that Sean McVay is going to play it conservative right here as Stafford's dropping back, throwing a bomb, walk-off touchdown to end the game. It's like, yeah, Jonathan Vilma, you know what you're talking about. That guy drives me nuts every single week because he's so bad at his job. He doesn't know the rules, and I can't believe he's still employed as a football announcer. He was a good football player, but I just don't think that this is the job for him, and it drives me nuts at just how bad he is at his job. Just saying. Got the Rams.
This was the first Tom Brady announcing game that I've actually, because I don't really watch football games in general. I watch Red Zone, all right, unless it's a primetime game. So I haven't really watched a Tom Brady announced game. And I actually basically watched all of the Packers-Lions game. I didn't think he was terrible. Yeah, he definitely still has to find his, announcer voice. He doesn't have it. And Tom Brady's never had, a strong, like media voice in my opinion. So I always thought he would have to find that caliber, but I found a lot of his anecdotes interesting, at least, and he was right about what he was talking about. He wasn't, I'm not saying he's great, but he wasn't terrible. I don't know why everyone's hating on him so much.
He's a rookie. Give him a break. The only thing that I don't like is he owns the Raiders and he can't do their production meetings. So he doesn't get to talk to the players until like they're on the field before the game. Like he doesn't get to have the rapport and interview them before. And I think that's kind of lacking in his commentary. Yeah. But other than that, I think he's doing okay. Like he's not as bad as Chris Collinsworth. Yeah. And anybody that wants to tell me that he is, like, you're wrong. You're just flat out wrong.
And he's not as bad as Tony Romo is right now either, because Tony Romo's fallen off a cliff.
It's because when he retired, he knew all the players, so he knew how to scout them. And now that he's not retired, he doesn't do his homework. Like before, he just relied on his knowledge from playing against these guys. And now most of the people in the league, he's never played against. So, I think that he gets a bad rap too. Like people hate on him more than he deserves. But I do agree that he is worse than he was just a couple years ago. Weird tangent that we got on, but Jonathan Vilma's still the worst out of all of them.
Right.
He's still the worst. But other than that, we got 3 different this week. I'm excited because it's football, but I'm not excited because I think this is probably the second worst week that matchup wise.
Yeah.
But who knows?
But hopefully it surprises us, right? These are the best weeks that we get, like those crazy games that we didn't expect.
Yes. So on that note, I don't really have anything else for final thoughts. It's November. Part of me kind of misses the camouflage, goalpost pads and stuff like that when they're celebrating Veterans Day and stuff like that. But no Packers this week, so I don't have to do the 2 TV setup. I can just watch Red Zone all the way through. It kind of sucks that there's only 3 games in the late slot, but
at least they're interesting games.
Yes, they did. Why do they always put overseas game when there's bye weeks? Because it takes away from the late slot. But whatever. Anyways, so if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends. If you're listening to us on any podcasting platform that we're available on, do the same thing. Subscribe, share. Also, leave a comment. What comment do you want them to leave this week, Chad?
You know what? Just leave something positive in the comments, folks. We're
We're
living in a wild time right now, so I think we could all just use a little more positivity and happiness in our lives. So just, throw something down there positive, whatever you want.
Well said. I like it. I got nothing, so I have been your host, Diesel, joined as always by Chad. I think it's time that let's go watch some football.
Bye! This has been a Visionaries Global Media production. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.